Welcome back, listeners. I'm Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. I do want to apologize. I am a little under the weather, but when God wakes me up to give a word, who am I to say no? But today I really wanted to speak about accountability. It's very hard for us to look in the mirror and hold ourselves accountable. It's human nature, right? It's not very easy to own up to our own wrongdoings. But what I've realized is whenever things are going wrong in our lives, it's like a lot of us tend to say, not today, Satan, or the devil is a lie, right? Or we ask God, why did you allow the devil to do this to me? Right? We don't take accountability in our own free will that God has given us. Right? When we heed to evil, evil will rise. That's why it grows so rapidly. Look at everything right now. Sex is the number one seller, right? It's like we're all sinners. We're all in here, but God, he's delivering us from sin. But the moment when someone starts preaching about God, talking about God, it's like here comes this Bible thumper, or you don't pay that much attention to it, right? But we have to take accountability, right? God has to become our daily bread. What happens when you have a loaf of bread? That loaf of bread isn't going to last you forever. Especially, let's say, for instance, if you don't eat a loaf of bread, how long is it going to last you before it starts to mildew? Right? Eventually, you're going to have to, if you don't eat it, you're eventually going to have to throw it out because it's going to become molded and mildew. Therefore, God is the same exact way. You have to go to him with that daily bread. You have to bring everything to God. Because the number one thing, like let's just say hypothetically, that we have the ability to walk up to a tornado, right? Clearly, I know it's cannot happen. It's very impossible, but hypothetically, let's just say you're able to walk up to a tornado and you're able to stick your hand in it, right? What's going to happen? Is your hand just going to, get some debris, get some cuts and fill some clouds? No, you're going to get sucked in. You're going to get sucked into this vicious cycle, and it's either going to pick you up and toss you somewhere clear off the beating path of where God wanted you to go, or it's going to suck you into that cyclone and you're just going to keep going around and around and around and around, right? People always say that history keeps repeating itself. Why do you think it keeps repeating itself? It's because we're not inviting in change. You have to change. You want to say, well, God, why do I keep meeting the same person over and over and over again, just with a different face? It's because you stuck your hand into that vicious cycle, right? You're heeding to that evil and you're bringing that evil to the surface, and you allowed it to rise with your own free will. Right? So what's going to happen is you're going to keep going in a circle and a circle and a circle and a circle and a circle, and it's never going to change because you're not inviting in change. So hold yourself accountable. Say, God, I did wrong. God, this is my wrongdoing, but that's what prayer is for. Prayer is for our struggles. We lay all of our burdens down at his feet because when our hearts and our minds are not harmonizing with one another, we're out of tune. We can't even hear God because we're completely out of tune. We can only just hear our minds, what our minds want. It's all about what I understand, what I feel should happen, right? But God tells us to lean not on our own understanding, and that's biblical law. We can't, it's us that has to pass through time. Why? It's him. He works on the outside of time. He works in the unseen. So it's not about just because I can't see it doesn't mean that nothing's going to change. I have to try to do it on my own. That's your fear talking. That's the enemy talking, right? We live in this mental prison that we all seem to be trapped inside because we're all trying to figure it out. But God says, stop trying to figure it out. When we hold ourselves accountable and we stop trying to find the answer, we stop trying to blame everyone. So what if people are doing you wrong? Guess what? They're teaching you a lesson. They're teaching you what you don't want. They're teaching you what you refuse to tolerate. They're teaching you how to value yourself. But there's still people out there that do you wrong that you have to pray for them because they need God in their lives. And I remember when someone once told me, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And that was the most realist statement that I ever heard of. Because God, he teaches us to stand in faith when there is no understanding. When God clears a path, he goes before us. Who are we to just say, well, God, how is it going to happen? I need to see everything. I need to know what's going to happen. How's this going to happen? Help me figure it out. No, you lead by faith and not by sight. When you stand in faith, everything will fall into place because God, he gives you that peace of mind, right? When you align yourself with God and you put yourself in his word, that's when your mind and heart start to harmonize with one another. You're that fine-tuned instrument, right? Because he uses us all as his masterpiece, right? He's going to use us all for a purpose, but it takes a lot of fine tuning. And it's okay if you've messed up because God is still going to be right there. He's still going to be on the outside of that vicious cycle. All you have to do is say, God, I'm ready to let you in. I'm ready to accept you because it says that he will never leave us nor forsake us, right? But he gives us that free will. And I remember not too long ago, I remember I was talking, I'm sure you guys remember my friend Damien. I was talking to him not too long ago and I was telling him that I just had this sadness over me, but it was the weirdest sadness that was over me. And I was like, I can't quite put my finger on it and I don't know what it is. And he was like, well, are you depressed? I said, no, I'm not depressed at all. I don't feel that. You know what I mean? I know who I am in God. There's no way that I could feel that at the moment right now. But it's just this heavy feeling like I want to cry and I don't know what it is. It's not hormonal. I don't know. And so I'm talking to myself at night. And then when I woke up, I finally fell asleep. And then when I woke up, the answer came to me. And it was God's sadness. Because I remember it was a calm sadness. It didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel urgent. It didn't feel intense. It was like, it felt like a gentle, calm sadness. And I could not put my finger on it. And I remembered that the answer came to me and I was like, this is God's sadness. What am I doing in my life right now that is causing God to be sad? And I had to look at myself, right? All of us, we're going to be flawed. We're imperfect, right? That's the reason why he gave us grace. But it's for us, right? It's our duty to bring it to God. God, forgive me. Forgive all of us. I need to get back on the right path, right? I have to break free from this mental prison and walk upon the waters. So what if I can't see what's next? So what if I can't see the ending? I need God to just guide my steps. That's it. That's all I ask of you. Just when you think about a grand piano, those grand pianos, they can vary. You know, they can be as little as $3,000 for a baby grand, maybe. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to be in the tens, 20s, and hundreds. Almost, you know, I'm pretty sure there's even $1 million grand piano out there, right? Those can get extremely, extremely expensive. And to find movers for a grand piano, they will hire international movers, right? I don't even care if they're in the United States. They will hire someone from London, right? Or from anywhere to come move. They'll fly them out here to come move their piano, right? So they will hire a special person, like special movers that are dedicated to that specific thing to help move this grand piano because they are unable to carry it and move it on their own. That's what God does for us. But the thing is with God is it's free. The only thing that he asks from us is to come to him with everything that we do. When life becomes too hard, it's far too heavy for us to carry on our own. God says the battle is not yours, it's mine. And he tells us that for a reason. He doesn't expect us to carry it on our own because he knows that we cannot carry it on our own. So why do we still try so hard to do it? But again, it's about looking in the mirror. What have I done wrong today? What have I done wrong yesterday? What am I currently doing that I know is going to end up leading to me doing wrong tomorrow? It's about holding yourself accountable, praying to God for discernment. Even if you are missing it, you got to pray to God for discernment every single day. You can't be upset that you want to meet certain people or you want certain jobs. You want to do this, you want to do that when you're not looking at your own life. Prayer is for our struggles. Prayer isn't for wants. You can't just say, oh God, I really want a good man. I really want a good woman. I really want a good job. I want to get into this school. But you never go to God for anything else. What is it that you're struggling with that you're bringing at the feet of God? You got to lay it all down at his feet. He's the only one that's going to help us through it. He's the only one that's going to get our minds and hearts to harmonize because the enemy, this darkness, this dark world that we live in takes over our minds. God lives in our hearts and he never leaves us. We're surrounded by darkness and we cannot do it alone. So instead of always looking outward for the blame to try to blame others or blame the devil, blame the enemy, I want to do this and oh, you should have never did this to me and I can't believe you did me wrong. Look at yourselves. We have to look in the mirror ourselves and ask God for that forgiveness and ask God how to get me out of this. And God, I want to release all the guilt and shame. Deliver me from it. Help deliver me from the enemy's veil that he has over my eyes because I can't see the wrong that I am doing. If that's the case, ask God to remove it and he will. But we have to keep inviting him in every second of every day that's what it takes. Some people say, oh, just 30 minutes a day. Yeah, if you want to do it 30 minutes a day, that's fine. But I do it all day, every day. I'm talking to God. God is my best friend. Every single day because I know I can't do it on my own. And I know that I am blessed and highly favored because I'm telling you, there's so many things that I want to do sometimes that have definitely been wrong. But God prevented them from happening because he still is protecting me. It's like I am heavily protected because God will step in and it's that divine intervention, right? He intervenes so many times in my life. And I am so grateful and thankful for what God does for me in my life. I can't stop giving thanks to God on a daily basis. Whenever I start feeling lonely or certain things like, oh, well, I don't have this or I don't have that, God just brings me right back to what is it that you do have, Robin? And I got to start counting all of my blessings and remember that. Again, we're not perfect people. We're human. But you must invite God into your life on a daily basis and never forget it. Again, I'm your host, Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. If you're navigating grief, toxic relationships, trauma, financial pressure, or the slow work of rebuilding after setback piled upon setback, this channel is for you. Our community now spans 118 countries, proof that real stories travel and that healing accelerates when we carry one another. Share your story, lend your voice, and let grace turn pain into purpose. Book your podcast in the link below and share your story. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good evening, and good night. Stay blessed.